All right, how's it going, everybody? Hey, are you thinking about moving from California or some other blue state, some other blue city, and you're thinking about moving to Montana? Well, then, hey, stick around for this video. We're going to go over some pros and cons of Montana. I'm going to do 3 pros, 3 cons. We're also going to kind of talk about a little bit of the political structure, maybe who the governors are, who the senators are, what it is you're going to maybe encounter in your move to Montana. Before we get into that, I'll just introduce myself real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jason. I am a realtor with Keller Williams Realty and Red State Relocate. Here is my YouTube channel where I'm trying to reach out to homeowners like yourself who are looking around your neighborhood and your community, and you're realizing, and you probably realized this a long time ago, that your city leaders, your state leaders are no longer really representing you, and you want to move and you want to go somewhere where your business can be treated better, your kids can go to a better school, there's less crime, there's less of that what we call the cultural rot to deal with. You just want to go somewhere where you can just go live a good life, because let's face it, we only get one life, ladies and gentlemen, and this is our opportunity now. And I think that's the reason you're watching this channel right now, is because you realize that the opportunity to get out and go somewhere is going to be your only opportunity. Well, maybe not your only opportunity, but this is the only life, I'll say, that's going to give you that opportunity. And what I like to do is connect you with realtors in your market that share your values, and they understand why it is you're leaving. They have a heart. They're sympathetic to the fact that you're leaving, that you're like a lot of people that I talk to every single day, that they don't want to leave. Talk to people in California that live in California all the time. They never thought they wanted to ever leave California. California used to be a wonderful, beautiful place, but unfortunately, the pendulum has just swung too far in this state, and people are leaving. And so what I want to do is I want to connect them up with realtors, and I'm going to connect you up with realtors wherever it is you live that are going to help you accomplish the goal of selling your house and moving to a state that's going to be more accommodating, where your kids can go to a good school and all those things that we just mentioned. So that's what Red State Relocate is all about. And so I thank you for clicking on this video, for possibly, hopefully subscribing to this channel. Again, I don't do a whole lot of edits on this channel. I just turn the camera on, and I just kind of let it rip. I do some basic research here. All right, I got my notes. I'm going to be going through my notes. But look, let's talk about Montana, man. Montana is just an absolute gem. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful state. Big sky country, as it is called. When I lived in Denver some years back, we used to go up to Billings for the rodeo, and there was a motorcycle rally we went to. I've been through Montana numerous times with my buddies, riding our motorcycles from California to Sturgis, and always loved Montana. And I had this little thought in my head too. Even when I was a kid, I had this idea of Montana as a state, that it was probably really cool. And I think it's because my dad was a 49er fan. This is funny. I'm just being straight honest with you. I think because my dad was a 49er fan when I was growing up, and Joe Montana was the quarterback. I think for some reason, I just associated Montana, or Joe Montana, and the state Montana is like, well, if Joe Montana is awesome, then the state's got to be awesome, right? Well, yeah, it looks like it looks like even as a 10-year-old Jason, I was right. Montana is an awesome state, and if you're thinking about moving there, man, you've got a really, really wonderful opportunity ahead of you. If you have the option, even if you just have the option to move there, you have just an amazing, beautiful opportunity ahead of you that I really would encourage you to maybe not let that opportunity pass, because Montana is it's wonderful. It's a well-managed state. And let's get right to it. Let's talk about, why is it a well-managed state? Well, it's a red state. And I think, again, Red State Relocate, that's why you're watching this channel. Greg Gianforte, okay, he's your new governor as of 2020. He's a Republican there. But here's the thing, similar to the Ohio video I did, where we have a Republican senator and a Democrat senator. Okay, where's my John Tester being a Democrat? Okay, he's a Democrat senator, and then we have Steve Daines, who's a Republican. And I think, just like I mentioned with my Ohio video, when you have a Democrat and you have a Republican, you've got a little bit of balance. I talk about my gas pedal and the brake. We've got a little bit of, hey, we're going to move forward, but we're going to be careful not to violate anybody's constitutional rights. Of course, we want to move forward. We want to, right, make changes and progress as a society, hence the quote progressives. But we want to do so in a way that is conscious of the constitutional rights that people have in this country. And it really looks like Montana has really found a good balance there. Montana is a little bit different in terms of that since from 2004 to 2020, there was actually a Democrat, right? It actually had a Democratic governor, two of them. Okay, so Montana's kind of, I wouldn't call it a purple state, but hey, if the opportunity is there for them to vote for a Democrat and have a Democrat lead their country or their state, they're going to do it. So they do have this, like I said, maybe not a swing state. It does not get a lot of attention, unfortunately, from a lot of the politicians running for presidential office because it doesn't have a whole lot of electoral votes. But just as the state itself, it's managed really well. So even when you have a Democrat, you're going to have some Republican representation there. And as of now, that pendulum has kind of swung over into the Republican side of things, where you now have a Republican governor, a Republican lieutenant governor, and Kristen Juris. So, if you're looking for a red state, like I said, don't be dissuaded from Montana just because they've had some Democratic governors in the past. They voted for Trump twice. Okay, they're fairly a red state. Montana kind of reminds me of Denver or Colorado a little bit, where Colorado's fairly red. When you look at the map of Colorado, it's fairly red. You just got this blue dot right in the middle of it. Montana's similar in the fact that there's a lot of red counties, very conservative out there. But you do have Billings and Helena and Bozeman. You do have a little bit more spread out towns. I mean, they're not really big cities. They're not that large, but you do have more of the liberal progressive population that's going to kind of bring in some of these Democratic governors, the John Testers of the world. Bozeman's got a really hot tech scene down there, and that's going to bring in young, fairly progressive, ideal kind of minded people. You've got Missoula. You've got where was I? Got my notes here. Bear with me. Missoula, Billings, Helena. Okay, you've got some colleges there that are they're gonna kind of bring in that the more of the younger, progressive leaning element. But I'll tell you what, it's just like anywhere else. As people get older and they're living in Montana and they have those kids and they start those families. Let me rephrase: as they start those families and have those kids and they want to buy that house, it's interesting how people's perspectives and their political ideologies change. We always talk about how people, as they grow older, they become more conservative because it's easy to be, a progressive when you're young and idealistic. But when you got kids, you start thinking, hey, wait a minute, I want to make sure my kids are being taught things that I agree with and that I don't, have to worry about. I want to make sure they go to a good school. And so this is when people start really starting to kind of adjust their political leanings. Hey, where are my taxes going? I'm paying how much in taxes? Where are they going? And when people start getting a little bit older, they start seeing these things. And so, anyways, point I'm trying to make is Montana. Again, I'm not going to really call it a swing state. It is a red state, but they're not opposed to putting a Democrat in there. When Republicans don't do their job, when Republicans don't step up and don't lead, then they're going to go with the next best option, and that's happened. From 2004 to 2020, they had Democratic leadership in Montana. So, but hey, look, let's get into the pros and the cons. All right, I got 3 pros, I got 3 cons. We'll just start off with the pros. All right, of Montana. And look, if you're coming from California, if you're coming from any big city, I know it's probably cliche or tired to mention this, but it's really about traffic. There's just very little traffic. If you're sick and tired of getting up every day and driving an hour traffic and only going 15 miles, you can see your office from your house and it takes you a half hour to get there. All right, you don't have to worry about that too much in Montana. Montana is going to be a state it's a massive state. It's a very big state. I believe I read somewhere that it takes anywhere from 9 to 10 hours to go from what do you call it, from a border to border, east to west. It's a massive, massive state. So, but in terms of the population is very spread out. The towns and the cities are not that big. Billings being the biggest. Even Billings is not that big. I think I read it had 100,000 people. Correct me. Leave a comment if I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, these are not cities like we're used to in these blue states, and so our traffic is going to be very minimal, and so that's a big, big draw for people to be able to know that, hey, if you got to take your kid to the dentist appointment, you can just go take them to the dentist. If you got to go to the grocery store, you can just go to the grocery store. All right, you don't have to worry about timing it, because look, us Californians, we know we schedule our day timing it around traffic patterns, and in Montana, you're not going to have to do that. All right. So number two, and this is the big one too. This is a big, big reason why people are moving to Montana is the outdoors. The outdoor life there is just unparalleled. I mean, in terms of not only big sky country, and they call it big sky country for a reason. If you've ever been to Montana, there is something about it. Maybe somebody here who's obviously a smarter person than me, maybe somebody who knows geography and science, but they could probably explain what the phenomena is. But when you're there in Montana, I mean, the sky is massive, the outdoors, it's just gorgeous and it's beautiful. You have year-round hunting. I mean, you could pretty much hunt year-round there. Not all the animals, but starting in January through the spring, there's something you're going to hunt. In the summer, there's something you can hunt. And so outdoors, fly fishing obviously is a huge a hobby there. A river runs through it. If you've ever seen the movie A River Runs Through It with Brad Pitt, that was all about Montana. All right. And I watched, actually last night, I watched the movie Father Stew. You got to watch the movie Father Stew. It's actually what's got me doing this video, to be honest. One of the reasons I chose Montana for this video today was that I watched Father Stew last night with Mark Wahlberg, and the lead character, who the story is about. He actually grew up in Helena, Montana, and so it got me interested and got me kind of researching the story of this guy and thinking about Montana, where he grew up, and all these things, and that got me on the Montana path, and that's why I decided to make this video. But look, the outdoors are beautiful, hunting, fishing. Okay, you got the national parks. You got Glacier National Park up on the northern border there, and then you've got a good portion of Yellowstone is actually a part of Montana. And when we think about Yellowstone, we think about Wyoming, but it's actually goes up into Montana as well. I actually rode. There's a road called Beartooth Pass that goes through Wyoming. Through Montana there in the southern part, through Yellowstone there. And I remember it was one of the worst thunderstorms I've ever been through in my life on my motorcycle at the top of this road. It was wild. It was crazy, but something I'll never forget. But yeah, if you're in outdoors and why would you not? If you will not be watching this video right now if you didn't have some inclination to wanting to be reconnected with nature. In my last video, when I talked about homesteading, I talked about being reconnected with nature. And I think a lot of the problems we have, a lot of that cultural rot that I mentioned in our cities comes from the fact that we're not connected to nature anymore. And it's unfortunate, but you have that opportunity. If you have the opportunity to go to Montana, you're going to be able to get reconnected. You're going to be able to go fishing and hunting and just feel this lifestyle and just, like I said, just be reconnected the way you're supposed to be. And it's going to give you a life, I think, that you will not at all regret. Number three, the number three pro, all right, of moving to Montana. And this is a reason I talk to a lot of people, especially Californians. This is a big reason why they're leaving. When you're looking at the crime and a lot of the things going on in California and all the major cities, is the gun laws in Montana are very, very, I'll say, welcoming. All right, it's a very pro-gun kind of state. It's a shall issue state, so as long as you don't have any felonies or anything on your record, if you apply for a permit, you can get yourself a concealed carry permit. Now, I actually read they have to assign it or they have to approve it within 60 days. So you can move to Montana, and within 60 days, you can have a concealed carry permit if that's important to you. If you feel that carrying a firearm is something that you want to take on that responsibility, And I mentioned in another video before, really, if you decide to make that decision to carry a firearm, I highly, highly suggest getting training and understanding how important it is to just know the liability, to understand the responsibility that you're taking on. This isn't fun, John Wayne. You're going to put on a gun or put a gun on your hip and walk around like you're a tough guy. You're making a very, very huge monumental decision that could impact the rest of your life if you make a bad decision while carrying that firearm. So get proper training, but thankfully a state like Montana is going to provide that training for you. Again, it's a shall issue state. You get the permit, but open carry is also allowed. It's what a lot of states are going to now, and Montana is no different. Last year, 2021, they became a quote constitutional carry state, meaning that if you want to carry a firearm, you don't have to have a concealed carry permit. If you want to apply for it, you can, but you don't have to have one. So you can by the nature of the Constitution, by the nature of the Second Amendment, saying that you have a right to keep and bear arms, then Montana has said, hey, we will honor that. Now, there's some restrictions when it comes to government buildings and things like that. Many government buildings actually do still allow you to carry in there, but not all. And so wherever you move, you'll find out where you are allowed and not allowed to carry. They do allow in Montana campus carry. So if you're watching this video, if you're a student looking to move to Montana, if you're a family who's moving to Montana because maybe you have a child, they're going to college, they're like a grown adult now, but you have a kid, right, that's going to college in Montana, they're going to be able to protect themselves on campus, where we know there are, unfortunately, a lot of campus-related events. And so sometimes being on campus is probably a place where maybe you do want to take a personal safety quite serious, and Montana recognizes that. So if outdoors and a good quality, a slower pace of life, less population, just a little bit more rural, if that's something that appeals to you, if gun laws, if constitutional carry is important to you, then Montana is going to be a great, great state for that. But, all right, but there's going to be cons. Just like everywhere, there's always going to be cons. And I got 3 cons here, some things to think about. Of course, the elephant in the room when we talk about Montana, when we talk about any of the northern states, really, is snow, is the weather in general. It's a very snowy climate. If you're coming from California, we're used to 9 months of spring, right, and 3 months of summer. And it's going to be pretty much the opposite in Montana. You're going to get about 9 months of fall, cloudy, right, fall. You're going to get your little bit of summer there, but the winters there are no joke, okay? The winters in Montana are cold. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, it's not that bad. The weather changes every 10 minutes. I know when I moved to Colorado, back in 2004. I moved to Denver. And people said, oh, yeah, you know what? If you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It'll change. Not in the wintertime. It gets cold, all right? So just keep that in mind. If you're moving to Montana, the weather's going to be cold. If you're older, if you're looking to retire, okay, this is something to think about. That cold weather can really kind of wear down on your bones a little bit. So make sure wherever it is you move to that you're going to have a wood stove or a pellet stove. You're going to have some reason or some way to keep you pretty toasty in the wintertime. You don't want to go from your house to your vehicle if you don't have to walk in the snow. Make sure you got a garage, maybe a heated garage, whatever it is you can do. And these are the things that if you contact me, I'm going to get you connected with an agent wherever it is you want to move to that's going to know these things, that's going to know how to find you a home, that's going to have, these kind of amenities that are going to help make living in Montana, a little bit more habitable, I'll say. But if you're looking to retire, like I said, just make sure that you're going to go somewhere that's going to not make it difficult for you. Shoveling snow. If you've ever lived in the snow before, you know that driveway is going to need shoveling. And I know a lot of places now, some of the newer developments are actually putting in heated driveways. And so, hey, if you can get yourself a heated driveway, you don't have to worry about shoveling your drive. But if you don't shovel your driveway, you're going to learn real quick that driving over that snow on your driveway is going to just basically turn your driveway into a big old iceberg, and it doesn't make life very easy. So just something to keep in mind. That weather there is no joke. Of course, it's beautiful in the summer. You're going to get 80, 85-degree average temperatures there. Just gorgeous and beautiful. But remember, after that little bit of summer, man, it's going to turn into fall and winter real quick. And so just something to keep in mind there. All right. Number two, con, something to think about. I know a lot of people in California are moving to red states like Texas and Tennessee. We're moving to Kansas and Missouri because it's cheaper. They're saying, oh, it's much more affordable. Montana is, I'll say, probably more affordable than California, but by no means is it cheap. Montana's fairly expensive. Okay, I think I read it was in the 30th percentile in terms of housing costs, which puts it above the average, above most. We have 50 states, we're 30. Okay, or where Montana's 30. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive than anywhere else. And again, I think that comes down to the fact that there's Bozeman, Helena, Kalispell. There's going to be these national parks, these really nice kind of elite, I'll say, communities that really raise the average, the state average cost of living. But if you're just looking to go, into a regular town somewhere, you just want to maybe retire, or you have a business that you can work from home, you're going to be able to find something affordable, much more affordable than you're going to get definitely in California, definitely in any blue city like Portland or Seattle. All right, it's going to be a pretty good adjustment for you in terms of cost, but by no means is it as cheap, I'll say, as say Kansas or Missouri or Tennessee or something. But look, let's face it, post-COVID, everywhere's going up in cost because so many people from the blue areas are saying, you know what, I've had enough and I'm getting out. So just keep an eye on costs. And again, another reason to contact me, I'm going to get you with a realtor that's going to take care of you. It's going to understand what it is you want, and we're going to get you the house and the property you want at a price that you can afford. So we're going to take care of you there. The third con I have here, number 3, if you're coming from California, you're used to, when I'll say the entertainment options, the dining options. You're used to being able to have all these wonderful restaurants around you. If Bon Jovi or Metallica, or 2 nights ago, Elton John came to San Jose where I live. All right. If you're used to those things, if you like to go to concerts and you like sports and on all these types of, outside of work entertainment, Montana doesn't have a whole lot of that. All right. So, you're not going to get a lot of the big musician bands coming through. You'll get some, but, most of the time they're probably going to pass you over. There's no professional sports teams. If there's no baseball, no football, no basketball, if you're coming from California, we've got the Rams, the Chargers, the Niners. We used to have the Raiders, but they're gone, right? We've got the Oakland A's, the San Francisco Giants, the LA Dodgers, San Diego Padres. I go on and on. Golden State Warriors, the LA Kings. We got hockey. We got football, baseball. We got soccer, the San Jose Earthquakes. All right. We are spoiled when it comes to not only sporting options, dining options. We've got so many amazing restaurants, so much. We got wine country. We got Napa. We got Santa Barbara wine country. We are spoiled rotten in California when it comes to these things. Unfortunately, the leadership out of Sacramento, unfortunately, is pushing a lot of people out of here to where we say, man, you know what? A lot of these things are great, and I do love the wine and the food and the culture, the beach and the mountains, but I just can't live here anymore. I don't want my kids to go to these schools anymore, and it breaks my heart to have to move people out of some place that used to be just such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for people. And now people just can't get out of here fast enough. It's really difficult even to get a U-Haul now. A lot of people, I've helped people buy utility trailers just to move their stuff out because they didn't want to spend the money on a U-Haul. They could get a U-Haul, but it was going to cost a lot. And they said, hey, you know what? I can get a trailer for the same price. I got to keep the trailer, and I'm moving to the country anyway, so I'm going to need a trailer. These are just some pros and some cons to think about if you want to go to Montana. And again, my name is Jason. I'm with Keller Williams Realty, and if you're looking for a realtor, I've got partner realtors all across this country. And if you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm in San Jose, but I work pretty much most of the South Bay. I would love to personally help you sell your home. So reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text. If you're still watching this video, like I say in my last videos, and I say in all of them, if you're still watching, I hope that this brought you some value. And if it did, all I ask in return is that you leave a comment or give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're here because, I put some research in. I do some research on this stuff, and I like to know that, if I'm putting in this time, that if at minimum you can give me a thumbs up, let me know you're there, that this brought some value to you, and at least it gets you on the path to deciding what red state that it is you want to move to. And that's what I want to help you do. I want to help educate you as best I can to find the perfect fit for you. And then when you're ready to go, you let me know, and we're going to get you moved. And we're going to get you moved to Red State America so you can go live the life that you deserve. Okay, so with that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.